Right, so basically this is the rear trim. I have black trim on the 2006 Lexus GS, and I removed this piece over here. This piece right here, this trim, because I overlaid it in carbon fiber. This can also help you if you're doing, wrapping it with a collar. It's always a lot nicer to remove the piece, so you can do a nicer job when you're wrapping it with vinyl or anything like that. But in this case, I decided to go with carbon fiber, and I'm going to actually be doing a little bit more vlogging in regards to how to do carbon fiber overlays for those who are interested in some things that I do. I know a lot of people on YouTube do it, but this is going to be more pertaining towards the Lexus GS and just what I'm about out there. So without further ado, here's the carbon fiber piece or the panel that I did. Oil overlaid it, and it's nice and glossy, and this is going to go into here. So it's going to go into here, and it'll create a really nice contrast and really nice mix. So basically what you do is once you've removed everything, you want to get it to this point. So when we're going to be putting it back together, we're going to be putting in the what is this? This is the power window opener. The power window opener is basically going to go in here, and it's just going to go screw in. So what I did is, as I removed everything, I have a tendency to sort of keep it in like little containers. You can just make sure the whole idea is to get a separate container for all the bolts and nuts that you're going to be removing, so they don't just lay all over the place. Keeping them organized is always the best way, and makes it a lot easier when you're putting it back in. So let me turn it around. Let me turn the panel around. Okay, so this is basically the back side of the panel. As you can see, it's attached through screws on the back side over here. It's a little bit tricky because you kind of have to lift a couple of these tabs out when you're removing the piece, because it sort of kind of like gets in for a really tight fit. First thing to remove obviously is this little carpet here, but don't remove all of it. Leave a little bit left over because you don't want to basically completely remove it. You just want to remove enough to expose the area that you're going to be removing through. Later, what's a good idea is what I'm going to do is once I put the trim in inside the actual door card here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use hot glue to glue this back into some of the points. Like as you can see over here, there's one point. As you can see, there's one point over here. So just a hot glue gun with some hot glue, put a little bit in here and here, and put a little bit, I guess maybe on the side here, just for a little bit of reinforcement, just to make sure to have the nice little sound deadening on the side. Or you can completely rip it out and get rid of it. But we're going to retain it, try to keep it as much OEM as possible. Also, I forgot, you want to kind of put a little bit of a towel, or you want to put a towel underneath the actual panel so you don't scratch up, because it is leather. It is quite luxurious and kind of pricey, or was in at least 2006. Now these cars are not worth a lot, but you want to make sure that the surface you're working on has a little bit of a cushion. So like an old towel that you don't need is probably a good idea to put it on, so you're working on a nice sort of soft surface, and you don't scratch up too much of the leather. But I'm going to try to fit the trim piece into my panel now and see how it goes. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to just slide this out and you're going to let it fit in. So it should fit in a lot nicer. So let's try to put it in. Let me move that out and then slide it in. I have a problem spot over here. There's two little black tabs. I'm not sure if you can see them over there. You kind of have to wedge them underneath the trim piece, just so it sits like that. Perfect. So now it sits really good. So that's the first step of putting it in. As you can see over here, we got the piece in. I'm going to turn it around, and I'm going to sort of show you how it looks now with the trim inside, so where you can put the screws through. Also, just as a tip, when you're screwing these screws in, don't screw them super tight, just enough so it's snug, because these are little plastic retainers over here, as you can see. These plastic retainers will crack if you put too much force into them, so you don't want to destroy your panels. Just enough, so it's snug, just a little bit of a tip so you don't overkill it. You don't need to really apply a lot of force in order to make sure that the panel is sitting inside the door card, or the trim is sitting inside the door card. So okay, so as you can see, a lot of the openings on the back of the trim piece are for the screws. So all you're gonna have to do now is just basically all the open holes that obviously you've removed the screws from. Now you're gonna have to attach them through. There's one here, there's one here, there's one here, and then there's one in the back over here as well, and then there's one here. So for those that are trying to remove it, what you're gonna do is you're going to basically remove this first, and then that will reveal the whole assembly, and then it's going to be mounted by a lot of the screws. So I'm going to show that in a second. Obviously, as we progress with this video, you're going to see how the product will look like, or how it will look like when we're starting from a fresh panel. So basically, it'll be a reverse of what we're doing now. Okay, so that's probably why it's a good idea to remove the power actuator first before removing the trim, because there's two screws behind here that you would not normally see if you have the actuator to put on. So there's two screws, very important, behind the actuator. So when you're removing this this trim piece, going the other way around as I'm doing, make sure to remove the power actuator first, because what that will do is reveal two extra screws on the bottom, which will make it a little harder for you to remove the panel. So make sure that you remove the actuator, I guess. So it makes a lot of sense. So the actuator just goes on here. We're gonna attach it, and then it has a power connector here that just plugs into it. So I'm gonna do that right now. Okay, so super easy, just 3 screws that hold the power actuator, and then you have a plug that just plugs into here. And make sure you're here for the click. Always here for clicks whenever you're plugging in a lot of the connectors. If you don't hear a click, sometimes it's a good idea to remove it and plug it back in order to hear a click. That's how you know that it's been fully sealed. Okay, here's that click. So there you go. There's the power actuator. I'm going to continue screwing more screws to retain the panel. And we're almost done here, actually. So here we go. So essentially the full trim panel is now attached. The power window actuator is attached. But what's left is a little cubby hole that is in here that you put in stuff into on the back. So as you can see, let me move that away. There's the hole here that it goes through, so you just have to kind of attach it. You know how these go, because this soft piece is always facing the door, basically. So it'll be facing you when you're putting it back in, because this is like a soft piece that allows the door card to not hit the door, and it keeps it a little bit more snug. So that's a giveaway which way these should be going in. But basically what this guy goes is, it just goes on top here, and it kind of just mates with the door card here. So actually we got to remove that one, because that one is designed to hold it. And I think there's 2 screws or 3 screws. There's one screw behind here that's a little bit tough to get to, right here. It's a little bit hidden, so you just got to move that out of the way a little bit and disattach it. So I'm going to remove this screw here and attach it a little bit better, and I think the panel will be almost complete. Just got to get the hot glue gun in order to glue this onto the panel, and I'll show you the final product in a bit. Okay, so all the bolts or all the screws are screwed in. The panel's sitting inside. The little cubby hole is screwed in as well. Even that little screw that's behind here, I gotta kind of move away, and it's in there. Now all that's left is just to hot glue the sound deadening, or whatever it is, the insulation. Double check all the screws. They're all in. Double check that you don't have any screws missing. If you are, there's probably a hole somewhere that hasn't been screwed in. So make sure that they're all in. All the ones that we put in are in. So basically the panel is all attached. Now it's just a matter of putting the hot glue and gluing this back on. I'll do that in just a second. Okay, so pretty much 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or there's 2 behind here actually. 9, 10, 11, 12 behind here. 13. There's missing 1 hole, so I gotta put that in there. Let's do that now. Now you'll notice that when you remove your panel, you have 2 types of 2 heads basically. You have a flat head like that, and then you have a flat head with a little bit of a dimple on it. To be honest with you, if you mix and match them, there's really no issue. These are probably used more for sort of like the bigger opening retainings because they're a tiny little bit bigger. But if you mix and match them, there's no issue. As long as basically your panels are attached together, you're fine. Alright, so I got my glue gun here. Put a new insert. What I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this side of the way, and I'm just going to dab it with a little bit of glue here. So let's do this one first. So put a little bit of glue. Bada bing, bang. That will attach. We'll let that sit. Let's put a little bit of glue here. I'm sure you guys used a glue gun before. For those that haven't, you can be liberal with it. And let's attach this piece here. Basically, we'll just go like that. This one's already attached. And I think for good measure, I'm going to attach 1 more here to the side, just over here. So let me move that out of the way and use some glue gun. Not too crazy, just a little bit. And that way, this will stick there. So when I move this panel around, this is not going to flap. So give it a couple minutes for it to dry up. I'm going to turn off my glue gun here. Let's put that out of the way. Let's throw this away. Bang. So now pretty much the panel is done. Let me just move the power out of the way. There we go. Make sure you get one of these for your garage. These are a lifesaver. You don't have to worry about cords. Just pull it from the top, and not this particular brand, it doesn't matter, but you can find these on Amazon. And what happens is usually comes with 50 feet, and that's a really good way to kind of have power on the go without any stupid power cords and stuff like that on your feet. So there you go. Okay, so now it's kind of attached. Here's the panel. So when you remove the actual panel from the car, obviously it looks very complicated, and if you're going to be removing the trim, you're going to be like, what the hell, where do I start, right? There's so many wires, so many cables. But realistically, once you remove this this gray foamy thing, then you're going to start to reveal and actually see how the whole panel is attached, you know, to the door card. So it doesn't really become that complicated once you start kind of peeling off the layers, which is usually how it is when you're doing installations, right? You don't want to, like, you know, at first everything looks like it's super complicated, but then as you get really into it and really put in the work, then you start to realize that it's really not that complicated, which is the case here. So basically you're going to remove this little pocket, which looks like this on this side. You know, that's going to be the first thing that you're going to remove, right? Then you're gonna, obviously after you've removed the soft piece, right? Then it's gonna reveal all the screws like I showed that are holding and retaining the panel. So you slowly sort of remove the main center screws that are over here that are kind of following the curve of the actual panel. And then you can slowly wedge out the panel out. Just make sure that you also remove the screws that are holding, which is hidden behind here, that are holding the power window actuator, because there's 2 hidden screws that are holding the panel. If you don't remove the actuator, you will not know about them. You might break your panel as you're trying to remove it from the door card. So just take your time, be careful, and every screw that you remove, sort of try to match up on the other side to make sure that it flows the pattern or the shape of the actual trim piece. So without further ado, let me turn this thingy around. Wow, night and day difference. I mean, I love carbon fiber. I really don't go too crazy on carbon fiber. but I like carbon fiber as a nice trim, and this definitely makes the panel look a lot nicer. Like $1,000,000, has a really nice finish, and it looks like factory OEM. And that's pretty much how you will take and put the trim back on to your 2006 and 2012 Lexus GS panel. So that's how the finished product looks like, and to be honest with you, I can't wait to share it with you guys, and actually do a video on the full interior once all the panels are done. This is one of my 2 rear panels that are completed. The front's already done, and the center console's already done. So a lot of really cool goodies for 2021. I can't wait to share some stories and what's gonna happen in 2021 with my GS. So all the best, peace out, and stay safe.